will learn how to follow.
Hi, this is Simon Candlish and welcome to another marvellous video. Well, with the conclusion of the first season of House of the Dragon, our watch has finally ended. Even though the final season of Game of Thrones caused some disappointment among fans, House of the Dragon reclaimed a lot of the lost glory by setting up an interesting storyline around the Targaryens. However, with the first season finally over, there is nothing in the near future to cope with the insatiable hunger of the fans. This is where we come in as the bearer of good news, and in this video, we will bring you everything there is to know about the possibility of a Jon Snow sequel series based on the aftermath of Game of Thrones. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin. So what is the show all about? The rumour mill started rolling last summer and the speculations were soon proven to be true. It was out in the open that a series titled Snow was in development. This series was going to take on a life of Jon Snow following the events of Game of Thrones, a sequel that focuses on his character. Soon, confirmation came from the horse's mouth, and George R.R. Martin revealed in an interview that work on the script was in progress. He further hinted that the working title of the series is Snow for the time being and refused to deliver any further information before getting the permission from HBO to do so. The veteran author did suggest that the second and third drafts of the script were ready and confirmed the rumours about the story being a sequel to Game of Thrones. Further confirmation came from Emilia Clarke, the actress who played the role of Daenerys Targaryen in Game of Thrones. She is known to be a close friend of Kit Harington, the man who played Jon Snow in the series, and she confirmed that such a project was indeed being considered. In an interview, she suggested that Kit Harington was the one who came up with the idea, and the whole thing was his initiative. The actor has never shied away from his eagerness to be a part of the franchise again, and he came up with an idea that could extend the Game of Thrones lore even further. So how likely is it that Snow will get the green light? If something isn't broken, there's no need to change or fix it. If HBO abides by this theory, then there is really no reason to back out from this project. Everything that they have touched so far, including the disappointing final season of Game of Thrones, has yielded massive rewards for the company, and the success of House of the Dragon confirms the craze behind the franchise once again. If you consider Game of Thrones, Jon Snow was one of the most loved characters, an absolute fan favourite that took Kit Harington to stardom. If the story created around the character is even average, the sheer popularity of Jon Snow will ensure the success of the show. From the looks of it, George R.R. Martin has been roped into working on the script, and the maestro seldom goes wrong with his craft. Overall, all things said and done, we sincerely believe that the series will get the go-ahead from HBO eventually. That being said, we can assure you that it is going to be a rather long wait. Can we get the Jon Snow sequel series before House of the Dragon Season 2? There is a common misinformation doing the rounds that suggests that Snow will be released before the second season of House of the Dragon. We hate to burst the bubble, but there is no truth behind this news. In fact, as of now, there is no official confirmation that the Jon Snow sequel series will ever see the light of day. We have enough reason to be hopeful that the show will eventually be finalized, but that doesn't mean that it will be released before an already confirmed second season of House of the Dragon. HBO announced the second season very early into the season, and from whatever we've gathered, it seems like season 2 will start filming in the spring of 2023. The first season took roughly 15 months to be filmed, so you can expect things to be quicker this time because the last time was plagued by the pandemic. Even then, it will take at least a year to bring you to the second season, and it's extremely unlikely that they will be able to release it before the late summer of 2024. As for Snow, a series that is still in the early stages of development, it would be a shocker if we get anything before 2024. 2025. At this point, HBO is merely exploring the different possibilities, the stories, which characters to bring in, and how to go about it. Then comes the final draft, and then begins the filming process, which again can be expected to be almost a year. If HBO decides to wrap up House of the Dragon completely before turning their attentions to Snow, we are in for an insane waiting period, which could go up to 4 or 5 years. You have to even consider the fact that Kit Harington himself has quite a busy schedule ahead of him, with all his upcoming acting commitments commitments, his Marvel Cinematic Universe pursuit will occupy lots of time, and he has a commitment to a significant amount of time for a series as extensive as Snow. Time, my friends, is not your friend in this anticipation game. All we can say as consolation is better late than never. Which Games of Thrones characters are likely to return in Snow? We have it very clear that so far everyone involved with the project has been extremely tight-lipped about it. Without the official confirmation, it is very difficult to say for sure which characters will accompany Jon Snow in the sequel series. However, we can make some educated guesses and speculate on some of the certainties. One of the characters who is almost certainly going to be there is Tormund, the wildling warrior who accompanies Jon Snow as he heads north of the Wall at the end of Game of Thrones. He is a dear friend of Lord Snow, and it is likely that his future adventures will include him as a major character. If the script allows, you can also expect the likes of Tyrion Lannister, Sir Davos, and Samwell Tarly to make an appearance. They are all alive and kicking, and given their companionship with Jon, it wouldn't be a far cry to expect their presence. Daenerys Targaryen will be a surprise package, and we must admit, quite unlikely to appear in the show. But Emilia Clarke did add some fuel to the rumours by suggesting that she would love to be included. What the cast of Game of Thrones has to say about the show. The cast of Game of Thrones, especially the actors playing the characters who lived at the end of the show, have weighed in with their opinions. While some of them are excited about the possibility of making a return, others want to try new opportunities and are done with their stint in the franchise. Maisie Williams, who played the role of Arya Stark in the series, did not hide her enthusiasm about the possibility of a Jon Snow sequel. She said in an interview that she has immense faith in Kit Harington and believes that if he has taken up the project, it ought to be good. She made it very clear that she is open to reprising her role if the script demands, and that means a sigh of relief for all the fans who would love to see Arya Stark back in her badass new avatar. Even Gwendoline Christie, the actress who played the role of Brienne of Tarth, is keen to return as the enigmatic warrior. The actress said that she would take up any opportunity that would allow her to revisit the character, and since she holds an important position in the court of the new King Bran the Broken, there might be something interesting in store for her character. Emilia Clarke is probably the one keeping the cards closest to her chest. While she has gone out saying that she would love to be a part of the Kit Harington show, she has also said the contrary in various interviews, suggesting that she is done with the burden of playing Daenerys Targaryen. However, all of these mere speculations, and we have to wait a long way before we know for sure which members actually reprise their roles. All the possible story arcs that can be explored, learning more about the White Walkers. Given how important the White Walkers have been in the entire Game of Thrones storyline, it is shocking how little was revealed about their origins. We never got to know how they were created, where they originated, and what was their true purpose. Of course, it was clear that the Night King wanted to bring about darkness and constant winter, eliminating humanity and all of human history. But why exactly did he want this? It's not an overstretch to accept answers to these glaring questions and more about the White Walkers. If there is a Jon Snow sequel series that is based on the aftermath of the show, we certainly expect to learn more about them. The White Walkers no longer exist, but far north of the Wall, where Jon Snow is now venturing, there might be more clues to their whereabouts. It will certainly be quite intriguing to learn more about these freakish entities, and we would love it if Snow brought us a few answers. So Jon Snow's new life as one of the free folk. Jon Snow has one of the biggest character developments in Game of Thrones, going from a bastard to being king in the north, and finally putting a knife through Daenerys Targaryen's heart, ending it all. Of all the story arcs, fans will agree that this was the most fun to see him blend with the wildlings. There was something about the way of the free folk that felt like home for him. He found his first love in a wildling woman, Ygritte, and his brief interactions with the real Northmen were pure gold. Even Tormund, one of his best friends, was a wildling, and he also accompanied Jon at the end of the show as he headed north of the Wall. We would love to see more of his life amongst these people, going on a few adventures and figuring out his new life. Catching up with old friends. During the course of the events in Game of Thrones, Jon Snow has made some of the best friends and the worst enemies. Fortunately for him, most of his enemies are now dead. But do not forget Grey Worm, the commander of the Unsullied, who was extremely disappointed about letting the murderer of his queen run free. However, the fans will be far more curious to see Jon Snow reunite with his sister or trusted friend Tyrion Lannister. The latter, played by Peter Dinklage, is such a fan favourite that his presence alone is going to bring the fans back to the show. We would also love for a reunion with the likes of Sir Davos and Tormund. Well, he has to be by his side if the story picks up from the events beyond the Wall. Jon Snow finding love. The man has been so unlucky with love that fans will hope that he finally finds some peace in the matters of the heart. Jon Snow lost Ygritte quite early in the show, and in the final season finale, he had to kill Daenerys, the woman he loved, for the greater good. Now that he is finally out in the wilderness, with no politics and kingdoms to worry about, one is well within the right to expect that Jon finds the one to ease some of his pain. Finding love amongst the free folk might be just what the Doctor ordered for the tragic king.
I saw them executing Lannister prisoners in the street. They said they were acting on your orders.
Face off with Daenerys. Now. Hold on before you dismiss this idea outright. Yes, Daenerys is dead. But if you remember the aftermath, you know that her dragon, Drogon, picked up her lifeless body and flew off. The dragon was heard to be flying east, but the show never specified where exactly it went. Now, if Drogon took her body to Volantis, there might be a possibility of resurrection. People there have been known to be in touch with the unknown forms of magic. And do not forget that Jon Snow himself was once resurrected after his death. If Daenerys is indeed revived and brought back into the show, that will make for a mouth-watering face-off. We are curious to find out how Jon might react to seeing his former lover back from the dead. But dreams aside, the wait, as we said, will be a very long one before we find out. The marvelous verdict, building castles in the air. Building castles in the air is exactly what we are doing as fans, speculating about a show that hasn't even been given the go-ahead yet. However, as we have mentioned before, rationality dictates that there is nothing that should really stop HBO from giving it the green signal. As we wait patiently for the second part of Jon Snow's story, feel free to tell us in the comments below what you think are the chances. Also, let us know about any new information that you might have on this matter, because we fans have to stick up for each other in these hours of vacuum. After all, we are the watchers on the screen, and our watch never really ends. And if you enjoyed this video, click on the like button, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys.